going to read now one of my longer poems, one of my favorites. I am writing for the Sioux and the Wolves. This was written in, let's see here, 1991, January. I am writing for the Sioux and the Wolves, for the 19th century composers writing their passions in unforgettable melodies, then going their way. For little crabs that cuddle in our slippers left at water's edge in the doors of little Japanese hotels. For crustaceans warming on heated roads in summer evenings on Cuba's St. Espiritu Trinidad coast. For prairie dogs dozing in underground caverns, in the death journey of salmon fighting against white rapids to spawn. The eagle in its eyrie hovering over 2 gray eggs, the eels and an octopus that wait gently by their doors for an occasional visitor. For soft brown tarantulas crossing gravel roads in the Mojave seeking shade or protection. For sleek, cool snakes who mean only to survive in their uncharitable wild. It is a song of the survival of the warm plasma of life sustaining gravity that keeps us home on the surface of the earth that is ours, giving us eggs that become ourselves, our fearful, hopeful selves, in brief spasms before we move off stage and let our children on. I am writing for hungry street dwellers who beg in deep chagrin for coins to eat a little, who stand in South African lines from 4 a.m. for work in deadly mines, or shark-infested waters for crumbs for babies. I write the misguided angel chorus of glory for terrified holy men, crying out to false gods, the lonely cry from minarets to intercede for souls drying in their veins under the Saharan sun. For all those in distress through history who gave it up and ended it in a suicide in any of the open, violent ways, ultimately the most violent deaths of all. I write the ecstasy of men released from prison, the ecstasy of mating men and women lying under the shady tree of knowledge reported on the Rosetta Stone and in Maya, Eskimo, and Zulu scriptures, and finally copied into Genesis. I am writing to celebrate, to announce, to plead for homage from the gods and goddesses for all the little many-legged gods on all the earths, everywhere near the millions of stars where lives exist, the abundant, unbelievably magic beauty of the species in all their forms on land and sea, in murky depths, in dizzy alpine crevices, housing tiny moss and lichens high above the abyss, in warm dining rooms in cities at the water's edge, heated from putrefied gases from plankton and pterodactyls, living 100 million years past. I sing for mercy for all the charlatans, the politicians murdering their people in holy battles, with young university graduates and husbands dying and cursing with their mouths full of sandy blood, always in a righteous cause and on behalf of God. I sing the international interstellar anthem that drowns the million vulgar national anthems that suffocate and poison us. My song that burns for good all flags that say a line is here and there drawn in the sand to shield our holy selves from vile enemies who are their own holy selves in their nations colored on the map. I sing to shout the pain of lies told everywhere to people desperate for the truth of love. I write to tell the babies of the Sioux, the Pawnee, the Algonquin, and the Cree who might have played together, bouncing balls or tossing sticks, to share the sun, to share 10 sips of water from the creek. I write to remember 10 people on 6 continents in 800 AD. 40 people farming by a village on the Nile in the time of Ramses, so long decayed when Christ was born. Of 12 people dead in London town in the bubonic plague of 1348. Their hopes, their loves and fears dead and unrecalled. One of them, a little girl of 8 in rags who died beside a church. Of all these people, like ourselves, not one whose name we knew, and those who had no name, but felt their breath when someone touched them, who knew a fever's chill, the fear of thunder, the slippery mud under night's curtain in the gloom, with only a tiny oil lamp or two visible in their world that night, who lived a while and thought and dreamed and smiled and laughed and died. I write to celebrate the wolves we've murdered from our fears, those great wild dogs who took us in their trust when any of us let them. The carcasses of death so premature in every geologic epoch, death and senseless slaughter and stately executions, with all the billions since the Garden of Eden, whose presence on the earth was a nuisance to someone else, either seeking power or seeking food. I write to celebrate all life in all its wild ways, its crazy shapes, its thousand colors. I am writing for the Sioux and for the wolves. I am white, but I am Sioux. I am buffalo, I am wolf. With the wolves I love and know. I am writing for the Sioux. I am writing for the wolves.